Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher remembered for his wisdom on self-control, emotional discipline, and inner peace. Some people don't enter your life to support you. They enter to drain you. They manipulate. They provoke. They criticize. They spread negativity. And slowly, without realizing it, they steal your peace. But Stoicism teaches something powerful. You do not defeat toxic people by becoming toxic yourself. You defeat them by becoming mentally untouchable. The Stoics understood human nature deeply. They knew manipulative people would always exist. But they also knew that no one can control your mind unless you surrender it. In this video, you will learn 9 brutal Stoic laws that help you outsmart toxic people, protect your peace, and clear your mind from emotional chaos. If you want timeless wisdom that strengthens your mind and protects your peace, subscribe to Wisdom Without Noise for more Stoic lessons. 1. Never give emotional reactions away for free. Toxic people feed on emotional reactions. Your anger becomes their entertainment. Your frustration becomes their victory. Your emotional breakdown becomes their power. That is why Stoics mastered emotional control. A young man once worked under a manager who constantly insulted him in front of others. Every meeting became humiliating. The manager mocked his ideas, questioned his intelligence, tried to provoke him. At first, the young man reacted emotionally. He argued back, defended himself aggressively, went home angry every night, and the manager enjoyed every second of it. One day, an older coworker gave him simple advice. Stop giving him access to your emotions. The next time the manager insulted him, the young man stayed calm. He answered professionally. No anger. No visible frustration. Something surprising happened. The manager became uncomfortable. Because toxic people lose power when they lose emotional control over you. Stoicism teaches that your emotions should belong to you, not to manipulators. This does not mean suppressing feelings. It means mastering them. Most toxic individuals rely on emotional chaos. They provoke reactions because reactions give them influence. The moment you become emotionally disciplined, their strategy weakens. Imagine someone throwing fire at a lake. The fire disappears instantly. That is what emotional control does. A calm mind becomes difficult to manipulate. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that people act from ignorance, insecurity, fear, and weakness. Understanding this changes your response. Instead of reacting emotionally, you begin observing calmly. And observation is power. The Stoics knew that emotional self-control is not weakness. It is strength. Anyone can scream. Anyone can lose control. But remaining calm while being tested? That requires discipline. Toxic people expect you to react. They expect your anger, your outrage, your emotional collapse. When you deny them that reaction, you remove their weapon. Sometimes silence is more powerful than argument. Sometimes calmness destroys manipulation faster than confrontation. Protect your emotional energy. Because every emotional reaction you give away carelessly becomes something others can use against you. 2. Stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. One of the most exhausting things in life is trying to prove yourself to toxic people. No matter what you say, they twist your words. No matter how kind you are, they find fault. No matter how honest you become, they continue attacking your character. The Stoics understood a painful truth. Not everyone wants understanding. Some people want conflict. A woman once spent years trying to gain approval from a toxic friend. Whenever rumors spread, she explained herself. Whenever criticized unfairly, she defended herself. Whenever accused falsely, she tried proving her innocence. But nothing changed. Her friend always found new reasons to attack her. One day, exhausted emotionally, she finally asked herself, "Why am I fighting so hard to be understood by someone determined to misunderstand me?" That question changed her life. Stoicism teaches that your peace matters more than endless justification. Some people are not confused. They are committed to negativity. And no explanation can heal a mind addicted to conflict. This is difficult because most people want fairness. They want to be seen accurately. They want misunderstandings corrected. But toxic individuals often distort reality intentionally. They manipulate conversations, create drama, spread half-truths. And if you spend your life constantly defending yourself against false narratives, you become mentally exhausted. The Stoics focused on character rather than public opinion. They understood something powerful. People eventually reveal themselves through consistent behavior. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need everyone to approve of you. You do not need toxic people to understand your heart. Your responsibility is to live truthfully, not to control how others interpret you. A tree does not stop growing because someone insults it. Likewise, your growth should not depend on toxic approval. Sometimes the strongest response is quiet distance. Not every accusation deserves defense. Not every misunderstanding deserves explanation. Protect your energy. Because constantly explaining yourself to toxic people is like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. No matter how much effort you give, peace never arrives. 3. Learn the power of strategic silence. Toxic people fear silence. Because silence removes the chaos they rely on. A man once argued constantly with his older brother. Every conversation became a battle. Insults, mockery, provocation. The brother loved emotional conflict. One day, after studying Stoicism, the man changed his approach. Instead of reacting emotionally, he became silent. Not weak, not afraid, just calm. Whenever insults came, he answered briefly or not at all. Whenever drama started, he refused to feed it. Eventually, something strange happened. The arguments lost energy. Because conflict requires participation. The Stoics understood that silence can be a weapon of wisdom. Modern society glorifies constant reaction. Everyone wants instant opinions, instant outrage, instant emotional expression. But wise people understand that not every situation deserves words. Sometimes silence protects your dignity. Toxic people often bait others into emotional traps. They provoke, push boundaries, create tension. Why? Because emotional chaos gives them control. But strategic silence interrupts their strategy. This does not mean becoming passive. It means choosing your energy carefully. There is strength in restraint. A lion does not roar at every barking dog. Likewise, mentally strong people do not respond to every insult. The Stoics valued inner calm over external victory. Ask yourself, will this argument improve my life? Will reacting create peace? Will this conversation matter tomorrow? Often, the answer is no. And when the answer is no, silence becomes wisdom. Some battles are designed only to drain you. Do not volunteer your peace. 4. Distance yourself from energy that corrupts your mind. Your environment shapes your thinking. The people around you influence your emotions, habits, and mental state more than you realize. A young artist once surrounded himself with constantly negative friends. Every conversation became gossip, complaints, criticism, jealousy. At first, he ignored it, but slowly, he noticed changes in himself. He became more cynical, more anxious, more emotionally exhausted. One evening, after returning home mentally drained again, he realized something painful. The negativity around him had entered his mind. That realization changed his relationships forever. Stoicism teaches the importance of protecting your inner world. Marcus Aurelius warned himself repeatedly about becoming corrupted by the behavior of others. Because toxic energy spreads quietly. Negativity is contagious. So is bitterness. So is constant outrage. The people closest to you shape your emotional atmosphere. If you constantly surround yourself with manipulative people, your peace disappears. If you constantly absorb drama, your mind becomes restless. Deep down, many people know certain relationships are damaging, but they stay because of guilt, history, fear of loneliness. The Stoics believed peace sometimes requires distance, not hatred, not revenge. Just distance. You cannot heal in environments that constantly poison your mind. This is why mentally strong people become selective about who enters their lives. Your mind deserves protection. A healthy environment strengthens clarity. A toxic environment destroys it. Protect your emotional atmosphere the same way you protect your physical health. Because eventually, what surrounds you begins shaping you. 5. Toxic people reveal themselves through patterns. One mistake many people make is ignoring repeated behavior. They keep hoping toxic people will suddenly change. But the Stoics trusted patterns more than promises. A businessman once partnered with someone charismatic and persuasive. At first, everything seemed perfect. But over time, small warning signs appeared. The partner lied casually, manipulated conversations, blamed others constantly, avoided responsibility. Each time, the businessman ignored the signs. He kept believing excuses. Eventually, the partnership collapsed completely. Looking back, the truth had always been visible. He simply refused to see it. Stoicism teaches awareness. People reveal their character through repeated actions, not occasional words, not temporary charm, not emotional speeches. Patterns expose truth. If someone constantly lies, believe the pattern. If someone constantly creates drama, believe the pattern. If someone repeatedly disrespects boundaries, believe the pattern. Many toxic people survive because others ignore reality. Hope becomes blindness. The Stoics believed wisdom requires seeing people clearly, not emotionally. This can be painful, because sometimes the people we love are also the people hurting us. But denial does not create peace. Clarity does. A wise person studies behavior carefully, not with paranoia, but with awareness. Trust should be built slowly. And once patterns become obvious, stop ignoring them. Because every ignored red flag becomes future suffering. 6. Never let toxic people define your worth. Toxic people often attack confidence. Why? Because insecure people feel threatened by healthy self-worth. A teenage boy once had a teacher who constantly embarrassed him publicly. Every mistake became humiliation. Every answer became criticism. Eventually, The boy began believing he was unintelligent. His confidence collapsed. Years later, another mentor entered his life. This mentor encouraged him, challenged him, believed in him. Slowly, the young man realized something life-changing. The teacher's cruelty had never defined his true value. Stoicism teaches that your worth does not depend on toxic opinions. This is one of the most important lessons in life. Many people unknowingly hand their identity to others. If praised, they feel valuable. If criticized, they feel worthless. That is emotional slavery. The Stoics built identity internally. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that other people's opinions cannot damage character unless you allow them to control your mind. Toxic individuals often project their own insecurity outward. They insult others to feel powerful, criticize constantly to feel superior, manipulate emotionally to maintain control. But their behavior says more about them than about you. Do not measure your value using broken minds. A mirror covered in dirt cannot reflect clearly. Likewise, toxic people often see others through jealousy, bitterness, insecurity, or emotional damage. Their judgment is distorted. Protect your self-respect. Because once toxic people convince you that you are worthless, they gain influence over your decisions. Never hand strangers the power to define your identity. Your worth exists independently of toxic approval. 7. Set boundaries without guilt. One of the hardest lessons for kind people is learning to say no. Toxic individuals often exploit kindness. They demand constant access, constant emotional labor, constant tolerance. A woman once had a relative who called only when needing something: money, attention, emotional support. But whenever the woman needed help herself, the relative disappeared. Still, guilt kept her saying yes. Year after year, the relationship drained her emotionally. Finally, after reaching exhaustion, she set boundaries. She stopped answering every call immediately. Stopped sacrificing her peace constantly. Stopped allowing manipulation disguised as family obligation. At first, the relative became angry. Guilt trips began. Criticism increased. But eventually, the woman regained something precious: peace. Stoicism teaches that protecting your peace is not selfish. Boundaries are necessary. Without boundaries, toxic people consume your time, energy, emotions, and mental stability. Many people fear boundaries because they fear disappointing others. But constantly abandoning yourself to satisfy toxic people leads to resentment and burnout. A healthy person respects boundaries. A toxic person attacks them. That difference reveals everything. The Stoics believed self-respect requires discipline. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate repeatedly. If disrespect faces no consequences, disrespect continues. Boundaries are not cruelty. They are clarity. You are allowed to protect your energy. You are allowed to walk away from manipulation. You are allowed to say no. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your life. And learning this can save your mental health. 8. Stop trying to save people who enjoy destruction. Many good-hearted people become trapped trying to rescue toxic individuals. They believe enough love, patience, or sacrifice will eventually change them. But the Stoics understood something difficult. You cannot heal people committed to chaos. A man once fell deeply in love with someone emotionally destructive. She lied repeatedly, manipulated constantly, created endless drama. Yet he stayed. Why? Because he believed he could save her. Years passed. His mental health deteriorated. His peace disappeared. His confidence collapsed. One day, an older friend told him, "You are trying to save someone who enjoys the storm." That sentence shattered his illusion. Stoicism teaches acceptance of reality. You cannot force maturity. You cannot force honesty. You cannot force emotional healing. Some people only change after facing consequences. And some never change at all. This truth hurts. Because compassionate people naturally want to help others. But helping someone should not require destroying yourself. Toxic people often drain rescuers emotionally. The more you sacrifice, the more they consume. Eventually, you realize you are not saving them. You are drowning beside them. The Stoics focused on what they could control. Your actions. Your character. Your boundaries. Not another person's willingness to change. Do not confuse love with self-destruction. Sometimes the wisest decision is walking away. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about yourself too. 9. Inner peace is the ultimate victory. The Stoics believe true strength is inner peace. Not domination. Not revenge. Not public victory. Peace. A retired soldier once carried anger for decades. He replayed betrayals constantly in his mind. Thought about enemies daily. Imagined revenge endlessly. But the anger exhausted him. One afternoon, while sitting quietly alone, he realized something painful. The people who hurt him had moved on. Yet he remained mentally imprisoned. That realization changed his understanding of strength. True victory was not revenge. True victory was freedom. Toxic people continue controlling your life as long as they occupy your mind. The Stoics refuse to give others that power. Inner peace is not weakness. It is mastery. When criticism no longer destroys your confidence. When manipulation no longer controls your emotions. When toxic behavior no longer steals your peace. You become mentally free. And freedom is power. Many people waste years fighting battles inside their heads. Replaying arguments. Rehearsing revenge. Obsessing over toxic people. Meanwhile, life passes. Stoicism teaches release. Not because harmful behavior is acceptable, but because your peace matters. A calm mind sees clearly. A peaceful mind thinks wisely. The greatest revenge against toxic people is becoming someone they can no longer disturb. That is true strength. Conclusion. Toxic people have existed throughout human history. Manipulators. Liars. Attention seekers. Energy drainers. The Stoics understood they cannot always be avoided. But they also understood something more important. Your mind does not belong to them. Every time you choose calmness over emotional chaos, boundaries over self-destruction, clarity over manipulation, you reclaim your peace. The strongest people are not always the loudest. Often they are the calmest. They observe carefully, protect their energy, refuse emotional slavery, and maintain inner peace even in difficult environments. That is Stoic power. If this video helped you clear your mind and see toxic people differently, subscribe to Wisdom Without Noise for more timeless Stoic lessons designed to strengthen your mind and protect your peace. And remember, the moment you stop allowing toxic people to control your emotions, you become truly free.